All right. Yeah, I think it's going. My name is Scott Huntsman, and this is my individual presentation of was LeBron better with the Cleveland Cavaliers or the Miami Heat? So first of all, my first point is gonna talk about cumulative production and longevity and the statistical avalanche that he had. The argument is while LeBron was highly efficient in Miami, his 11 seasons across his two Cleveland stints mean the sheer volume of his production for the Cavaliers completely dwarfs his Miami area. He played nearly triple the games in a Cavs uniform compared to a Heat uniform. And a key data to think about is he won two of his four regular season MVPs in his first Cleveland Cavaliers stint in 2009 and 2010, and led the league in scoring in 2008. And he also holds almost every major franchise record for Cleveland, including total points, assists, rebounds, and games played. So here's a little graphic about his time in Miami and his time in Cleveland. So yeah, he did play more time in Cleveland. I think he had 6 years in Miami, actually maybe five, and then 11 in Cleveland. But this shows that in Cleveland he was having better numbers. He had the same amount of he had two MVPs and a Finals MVP. In Miami, he did win two championships and also two Finals MVPs. That's the left trophy and the middle trophy there. The right trophy is the MVP. But he had a lot of help. He had Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh. They kind of formed one of the first super teams that we see in the NBA a lot nowadays. In Cleveland, he really had nobody. He had a young Kyrie Irving at the end of his career, but in the first 6 years that he was there, they went from being the worst team ever, well, one of the worst teams ever, to being one of the best franchises ever with winning a championship. So he carried this team, did literally everything for them just so they could win a championship. My second point is his peak individual responsibility and athleticism. So Miami, LeBron shared the floor with the Hall of Famers Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh. In his early Cleveland years, he lacked elite co-stars, but carried the team to historic heights through pure, unadulterated, um, individual dominance. I remember as a kid, I was watching Miami Heat versus the Pistons, and like maybe I was pretty young, like 2005. I've watched the highlights and stuff. I don't think I remember too much, but the Pistons were the best team in the NBA, and they were playing each other in the Eastern Conference Finals. And to win the series in game maybe 6 or 5, LeBron scored 27 straight points in the fourth quarter in overtime. And literally, it was just him carrying his team. There was nobody else on his team who was that great. And he did everything to make them win there. A key data to think about is his legendary 2000 playoff run were there at 22 years where he dragged an underdog Cavaliers roster all the way to the NBA Finals, and the historic Game 5 performance against the Detroit Pistons where he scored 29 of the team's last 30 points. So what I just said basically, he had 27 straight points, but he scored 29 of the last 30 points for Cleveland. It was pretty crazy. Here's my second visual aid about his difference. It shows his time in the Cavs, the Heat, the Cavs, the second part, and the Lakers. So he's got two MVPs at the Cavs and a Finals MVP, a Finals appearance when he first played for them, when they had literally nobody. And then he went to the Heat for 4 years and he won two championships, which is really cool. But he had everyone around him that he needed to win that championship. He had a really good team. He still was the best player on the team. He still did really do a lot for them. But at the same time, comparing him when he left that Cavs team, they didn't make the playoffs for the next 4 years until he came back. So it just shows that really he did everything for them. And then the Lakers, he's got one title and one Finals MVP, and he's had some pretty good stats there as well. My last argument is in 2016, his comeback with the Cavaliers when they played the Golden State Warriors. Winning championships in Miami was kind of expected for him. Bringing a championship to Cleveland was historic. His second stint with the Cavs, 2014-2018, yielded the single greatest achievement of his career, and honestly, probably the best comeback in sports history, I would say, because he was down 3-1 in the finals to the best team maybe ever. They've had the best regular season record ever. They hold the record for that. The Golden State Warriors, they went 73-9, and he came back from a 3-1 deficit with him, a young Kyrie, and Kevin Love. So he had some supporting cast, but still, he did the impossible. And to think about it, he led the team in points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks. and accumulating the block on Andre Iguodala in Game 7 that carried more historical weight than both Miami titles combined. So I just think that whole comeback really solidifies him as a better player at the Cavs just because they saw him do with the Win Wade, Chris Bosh. They saw him do with other good guys on his team, but he was really the guy in Cleveland. Kyrie Irving was good, but it was only like his second year, so he was still developing. And then Kevin Love was okay, but he was never a superstar. And this is just another visual aid of that actual series where they won game 4, 5, 6, and 7. Actually, they lost game 4, and then they won 5, 6, and 7 to win that. So you can see here in game 4, he almost had a triple double. In game 5 and 6, he had 41 points, literally carrying the team. And then in game 7, he had a triple double. And honestly, his points in game 7 were just a little bit lower because it was a really low scoring game. Because almost every game 7, everyone plays tougher defense and things like that. So he didn't have as much points, but he still contributed a lot to the stat sheet. In conclusion, as we look back on the entirety of LeBron James' career, it becomes clear that his legacy is anchored in Ohio, not South Beach. While his 4 years in Miami were filled with elite efficiency and structured super team environment, they simply cannot match what he accomplished across his 11 years with the Cavaliers. First, the sheer volume of his statistical longevity in Cleveland completely dwarfs his time in Florida. Second, his early stint for 2003 to 2010 showcased an unmatched level of raw athletic dominance and individual responsibility where he single-handedly carried a franchise. And finally, his second stint delivered the ultimate historic achievement, the 2016 comeback from a 3-1 deficit to break a 52 championship drought. And that is everything.